Raced out to Voyager Point off Heathcote Road. It's in the Liverpool local government area. This is a really interesting area, Voyager Point. We've got some sort of eastern outliers, I would argue, of sort of Castlereagh scribbly gum woodland and Castlereagh swamp woodland. Some threatened ecological communities in Western Sydney. They're known for being out around the Penrith area, those threatened ecological communities, but there's an outlier of them here at Voyager Point. So here I'm standing in a Angophora bakeri, Eucalyptus sclerophylla, or racemosa we'd call it now, and Eucalyptus paramatensis. On this really swampy ground, and a couple of weeks ago you couldn't walk along this track. It was ankle deep water. I had to walk around and collect this wattle that I'm doing here, and it got my feet very wet, so I wasn't impressed, but good to see some drainage. But it is called Castlereagh swamp woodland. It's known for having a bit of temporary inundation. So the Voyager Point area, it's a great area for a walk. This is protected by Liverpool Council, sort of the sanctuary reserve. It's a beautiful place. Some really interesting plants in here. And here we are. This is, get my shadow out of the way. This is Acacia brownii. So again, it was part of that Ulicifolia group and that Echinula, which I just put a video up on. This one, it's a bit easier to handle. It is prickly, but if you had to collect it, you'd just do it a little bit easier, I would argue, than Ulicifolia. The phyllodes are more spaced out. You can see how much more spaced out they are. They're very narrow. I think they're only to 0.5 mil wide. They are prickly, just not as prickly as that Ulicifolia beastie and the, I would argue, the Echinula beastie. They do have a pungent apex there, you can see, and it's sort of a tubular phylode. They're more spaced out and they can be up to 20 mil long. So I would argue they're a bit longer than your typical Ulicifolia Echinula. 20 mil long and about 0.5 mil wide. Brownii, it's to about 1 metre high. We can have a bit of a giggle at that brownii name, but it's named after Robert Brown, who was a very prominent early Australian, well, a botanist from England in Australia, doing a lot of early groundwork on Australian plants. He was in Australia around 1805, I think, 1800, and did a hell of a lot of work. So Robert Brown gets a big rap for early Australian botany. Brownii has a big range. It has a big range like Ulicifolia. It goes up into Queensland a little bit, around the coast, Brisbane, and I think there's a disjunction out towards Chinchilla, that area, and I think that's the most sort of northern patch of it you'll probably find, or around there anyway. Then it's down through the New South Wales coast, tablelands and the western slopes. It gets out to about Dubbo and maybe the ACT. It might get out towards Albury there perhaps, and it's sort of scattered in some areas. It's relatively common in Sydney, but I've seen it inland as well. And then it gets into Victoria, again along sort of the southern half, the southern half of Victoria mainly, and it doesn't get into Tasmania, unlike Ulicifolia, I think I said, and it doesn't get into South Australia, but it ends there in the western parts of southern Victoria there somewhere. So that's its distribution. It has been treated as a variety or a subspecies of Ulicifolia in the past, a bit of a species complex. But as you can see, it's got very deep globular, deeply golden globular heads. They're very, like Echinula, they're on the deeply golden side. In those, it looks like there's a lot in each head. I reckon I'd get over 20 pretty quickly, but I think that's reported. One of the features of it is these longer peduncles, up to 15 mil, though I think Echinula can have that as well. but they're nice and long, and the globular heads sort of get out almost beyond the foliage in some cases. And again, you've got one globular head per axle. So only one globular head in each axle. I don't think you ever get 2 or 3. It's just meant to be one. And the habitat for brownie eye, I'm not too sure. Here it's growing on it would be growing on a very alluvial soil with a lot of clay and a lot of impeded drainage. So it's growing here on a soil that really holds the water. You'd call it a sort of clay-based alluvium, which is what these Castlereagh swamp woodlands and the scribbly gum woodlands are known to grow on, these alluvial gravels. Across its whole range, it can probably be on sandy soil, and you might find it on clay soil as well, just in dry sclerophyll woodlands. You possibly find it on rocky outcrops too, just look out for it. I think around the Bathurst area, I've seen it just in run-of-the-mill grassy box woodlands, but I might have seen it on some rockier upper grounds as well with a bit of scribbly gum. So watch out for it there. This is, as far as eastern Sydney goes, or you might say, you know, just the fringe of Western Sydney and moving into Sutherland Shire, this is the only place I know it from. This is the best place to collect it. And I'll have to get another collection point because I come in here for my Wattle workshops and collect a little bit of it. And if I keep doing that, so there's not a lot of it here, and it's sort of always suppressed by other taller shrubs. And if it wasn't in flower, you can imagine how hard it would be to get it. It's got a gland on the phyllodes. There's a gland there somewhere. It's very obscure, they say, but it's down there. Just on the edge of the phyllodes there somewhere. So there is a gland. It might just be a little bit obscure, but probably worth having a look for. I think actually I'm looking on the downside. I'm going to try and have a go at the gland. Just one obscure gland. They say it can be anywhere along the phyllodes, but it's probably down near the base, down near the pulvinus there. And they do say it's obscure, so probably just hard to discern. But it's got to be there somewhere. So I might give up on that. But there's meant to be one obscure gland there, and just the habit of brownie eye. It's sort of not as showy and big as Echinula. It tends to be up to 1 metre tall, not quite 2 metres. And this is what I see a lot of the time. It's always sort of smothered in amongst other shrubs, so it's trying to do its best to get out. To me, it's producing sort of less globular heads, not quite as dense as maybe the Echinula video I made, but it's the fine foliage. It's a finely gapped foliage that leads me to it. Just a finer foliage. It is prickly, but it's sort of a weaker, sort of more flexible foliage than what you normally get for Ulyssofolia anyway. And you're not seeing any sort of width to the leaves. They're very narrow. Very hard to see any sort of venation or anything like that. More like almost like a sort of short hakea leaf. They're very tubular and round. Hard to get any sort of venation on them, I think. Although if I have a close look here, I'll try and get it in the sun maybe. Very hard to zoom in on too. Yeah, there might be a mid vein there. You can see the definite mucro, but not a lot to them. And some descriptions read 0.5 mil wide, so that's bloody very narrow. Yeah, so if you go along the edge of this track, you will see more of them. They're just not in large numbers. So Ulyssofolia I tend to find in very large numbers. This brownie eye, I just know it's not here in very large numbers. Definitely when it's in flower, that would be the time to notice it. But you can just see it's almost a ground cover like wattle. So if you ever get in here into Voyager Point, there's a lot happening at the moment. We've got things like Pimelia, and I think that's Dilwinia rudis there, which is putting on a beautiful show on the way in. There's a lot putting on a good show at the moment. But this acacia, I just see it just along the tracks here and maybe a little bit further. There's one there, which you'd almost overlook just when it's not in flower. But again, it's just showing those more sparsely spaced phyllodes. Beautiful. Let's see what we can get next.